Good morning, guys. Happy Friday. Today is chapter 12 of all the answers. If you remember correctly from yesterday's chapter, um, they asked the question about the boots being on sale, and they ended with, do you think Graham or your dad will take us to the mall? So the next chapter was the boot whispers. Erdmann's shoe shop was Sophia's favorite place in the universe. She practically danced down the aisles to the boots she'd been stalking. Okay, ready? Ava sat down on the shoe trying bench and flipped to a clean yellow page on her legal pad. Pencil poised. Yep, go ahead. Sophia read the boot brand, size, and color from the side of the box. Ava got it all down. Double check it before I add the question mark so we don't waste this one. Ava held up the legal pad. When will the size 7 Tony Lama Motsu brown boots with the fringe go on sale? At the Lakeview Mall. Sophia nodded. That would work. Ava started to add the question mark, but Sophia grabbed her hand. Hold on. What? Can you ask how much of a discount? It'll be at the same with the same question. Ava hesitated. What if it gets mad that we're trying to sneak two questions into one? Sophia looked at the pencil. I don't think it'll care. It's a matter of saving the lead. We're being responsible, like when my mom runs 2 or 3 errands in one trip to save gas. That sounded like the sort of thing the pencil would approve of, so Ava added the part about the discount, scribbled a question mark, and waited. Good news, she told Sophia. There'll be 50% off on Sunday. Perfect. I'll have Dad bring me this weekend. She put the boots back on the shelf, then wandered down the aisle, picking up ballet flats and bright-colored sneakers. Ava, her face lit up. We should open a business. We can be personal shoppers and advise people on what to wear and when to buy stuff, and they'll save tons of money. It'll be the coolest thing ever. Sophia's voice kept getting louder and customers were starting to stare, but she didn't seem to notice. Everybody's going to want to hire us. We can advertise, I don't know, somewhere, and maybe they'll even do a story about us in Teen Vogue. And shh, Ava put her hand on Sophia's arm. Soph, take a deep breath. Sophia stopped talking and was quiet for a few seconds. She sighed. I guess that's not entirely realistic, but this is so much fun. Maybe we can help people even if we're not going into business. Look, Ava pointed to another woman who was trying on the boots Sophia liked. The woman got one boot on before her toddler took off and she had to run limping along after him. She led him back to the bench and caught Ava's eye. Remind me not to go boot shopping with Timothy again. She pulled on the second boot and looked in the mirror. What do you think? She asked Ava and Sophia. Can I pull these off? They look great, Ava said, then added it in a quieter voice. But if you're going to buy them, you might want to wait until Sunday. They're going to be 50% off. The woman's face lit up. How did you find out? They're so tight-lipped about sales around here. We know somebody, Ava said. It was close enough to the truth. Ava and Sophia decided the fun of saving strangers money was worth breaking their 3-question-a-day rule. They looked around the store for spies, watching to see who was serious about purchases before scribbling questions and then approaching with the good news. All those sneakers are going to be half price next week, Ava whispered to a woman shopping for her sons. If you come back on Monday, Sophia told another lady, those red flats will be 20% off. Thank you, the woman tipped her head. Do you two work here? No, Sophia smiled mysteriously. We just know things. Ava had never loved shopping like Sophia did. But today, she could have stayed for hours. She couldn't stop smiling as they ate their frozen yogurt, waiting for Graham to pick them up. This was the best mall day ever. I know, right? Sophia licked her spoon. I wish everybody in the world could be as happy as the lady was when she found out the sneakers weren't going to cost $80. Ava thought about all the tired faces at Cedar Bay, faces like Grandpa, that could use some happiness. She pulled the pencil from her pocket. Sophia, I know what we can do next. Let me guess. Lottery numbers? No. It'll say the dumb lottery ball lady has free will when she reaches into the spinny thing, maybe. But then, that, Ava said. Let's take the pencil to visit my grandpa's nursing home after school on Monday. And the next one is Chapter 13 is Unspoken Secrets at Cedar Bay. And I think I'm going to read the next one. I should have told my parents we were coming, Ava said. But Mom and Dad had been busy working on Saturday and Sunday was Halloween, so the doorbell kept ringing every time Ava started to bring it up. It felt weird to be walking to Cedar Bay instead of riding in the van. It's not like they'd say no. You're visiting your grandfather. Sophia pulled the door open and they headed down the hall. Besides, it's easier to be forgiven than it is to get permission. That's like the #1 life rule. Ava laughed. Maybe for you. Ava's #1 rule was more like always check on everything to make sure you never get in trouble before. That would be the worst thing ever. But if Mom knew about the visit, she probably would have come too. And then Ava and Sophia wouldn't have been able to carry out their secret pencil wish-granting mission. Come on, girls. Betty, one of the nurses, waved them into the community room. Sneaking in an extra visit this week, she parked Mrs. Yu's wheelchair next to Mrs. Raymond. We brought Ava's grandpa some music, Sophia said. They loaded Sophia's iPod with pretty much everything they could find. Sophia and Ava's popular rock, Marcus's moody classical stuff, Mr. Anderson's country songs, Mrs. Anderson's modern jazz, and a song by a Moroccan band that Sophia's dad liked. It reminded Ava of the belly dancers she'd seen at the country fair once. Good luck with that. He's in a mood today. Betty looked down the hallway. Thomas, one of the assistants, was wheeling a scowling Grandpa towards her. Hi, Grandpa, Ava said. Grandpa grunted. Ava leaned over and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek once his wheelchair was parked. Dad always told her that even on bad days, the old grandpa was still in there somewhere, under all the wrinkles and soreness, and he might appreciate a kiss even if Grandpa didn't. We brought you some music. Sophia held up her iPod. Then she turned to Ava and whispered, Ask the pencil what we should play. Ava pulled the pencil and her legal pad from her backpack and wrote, What song should we play for Grandpa? It didn't answer, Ava told Sophia. Ask why not. Ava did, and the pencil voice replied, Because it is not my job to give advice on playing DJ for a grumpy old man. Wow. Ava put the pencil down and repeated what it said to Sophia. I don't think the pencil likes Grandpa. It only does facts, remember? Ask it, Sophia thought for a second. What is Grandpa's favorite kind of music? Ava did that, and the pencil voice said, Jazz. Jazz, Ava repeated. Perfect. Sophia searched until she found one of Mrs. Anderson's jazz songs. I think you'll like this one. She eased the buds into Grandpa's ears and pressed play. Grandpa blew a grouchy puff of air through his cracked lips and batted the buds out of his right ears. Or not. Sophia took her earbuds back. Thomas showed up and set plates of mushy-looking lasagna in front of Grandpa and Mrs. Grabowski, and they started eating. You want some dessert, girls? Thomas asked. I think I can sneak you a couple of Jell-O cups or pudding cups. No thanks, Ava said, watching Grandpa eat his lasagna and move on to the wiggly green jello. Mrs. Grabowski left hers on the plate and pushed it away. She looks sad today, Ava whispered to Sophia. Sophia shrugged. See if she wants to hear some music. So Ava wrote, does Mrs. Grabowski want to hear some music? Not particularly, the pencil voice answered. Ava paused, then wrote, what does Mrs. Grabowski want right now? She wants to go back to Ukraine and dance like she did when she was a girl, the voice said. Ava looked at Mrs. Grabowski hunched over the table. There wasn't much chance of that working out. But then the voice said, also, she wants pudding instead of jello. Ava told Sophia about Mrs. Grabowski's wishes. The jello thing was easier, Sophia said. So when Thomas came back, Ava pointed to Mrs. Grabowski. Could she have a pudding instead? Thomas tipped his head, confused. How come? She looks like she's done eating. Just see if she wants some, please. Sophia smiled. Thomas laughed. I think you're the one who's after the pudding, but that's fine. I'll see if there's some left. He came back with a cup of vanilla pudding and put it down next to Mrs. Grabowski's abandoned jello. She pulled her tray closer and started eating. Well, how about that? Thomas looked at Ava and Sophia. You two got some secret you want to tell me in on? Ava panicked for a second, but Sophia laughed. We just pay attention to things. Then Mr. Clemson hollered from across the room. I smell smoke. Call for backup. Thomas left to reassure him that it was only a batch of overdone cookies coming out of the oven. Ava looked around the room at all the faces with faraway eyes. What do you think the rest of them are thinking? Sophie grinned. We know how to find out. They went from table to table all over the dining room. What does Mrs. Ames want? More lasagna, the voice said. So Ava got Betty to bring him another portion. Also a baseball, the voice added. A baseball, Ava said. The voice didn't repeat itself. What's he going to do with a baseball? Sophia asked. Ava shrugged. It didn't seem worth spending the lead to ask the pencil why he wanted it when it was so easy to get for him. Sophia pulled a pen and wrote Mr. Ames baseball on the legal pad so they'd remember to bring one next time. What does Mr. Clemson want? A pickhead axe, an attack hose, and a truck with an aerial ladder, the voice said. Oh dear. He wants a fire truck, a hose, and an axe, Ava told Sophia. She looked up at Mr. Clemson, who was gesturing urgently towards the window, insisting that Thomas smash it so that they could all climb out. Sophia shook her head. Tell the pencil to try again. Ava wrote, what does Mr. Clemson want that will fit in this room and can't be used to break, smash, or flood things? Wool socks. The voice said. That was better. Ava wrote, Mr. Clemson socks, and moved on. What does Mrs. Raymond want? A new sweatshirt, the voice said. Ava told Sophia. Really? Sophia said. She has so many. See what color she wants and what animal she doesn't have yet. What color would Mrs. Raymond like her sweatshirt to be, and what kind of animal would she like on it? It doesn't matter the color, the voice said, but no stupid animals. That's all her kids ever give her for holidays, and she hates them. Oh, Ava said and repeated the answer to Sophia. Sophia nodded. No wonder she wants a new one. Ava added Mrs. Raymond's koala and kitten free sweatshirt to the list and moved to the next table with Mrs. Yu. Mrs. Yu, what does Mrs. Yu want? She wants to sit by your grandfather, the voice said. It didn't sound happy about that. Ava looked over at Grandpa. He was scowling at his jello. Really, she wrote? Why? Because she thinks he's handsome, the voice said. But don't tell him that. It'll go straight to his head. Ava looked at her grandfather and tried to see what Mrs. Wu saw. Grandpa was all slouched over and grouchy-faced. His short white hair against the dark skin of his head made it look as if he'd been out in the snow. Handsome? What? Sophia's voice was impatient. She wants to sit by Grandpa. Ha! Sophia laughed, but she didn't ask why. She squatted down next to Mrs. Yu and said, "We're going to change tables." Okay. Then she grabbed the handles of Mrs. Yu's wheelchair and relocated her next to Grandpa. Grandpa looked up, surprised, but he didn't frown. He nodded and went back to his Jell-O. Ava looked at her watch. "We should go," she said. "I need to get home for dinner." The pencil was fun here, but Ava still felt sad about Mrs. Gavronsky. Her pudding was gone, and she wasn't going to Ukraine anytime soon. "What about your grandfather?" Sophia asked. "It'll probably say he wants us to go away," Ava said. But she sat down and wrote, "What does Grandpa want?" Ava listened to the pencil answer, then told Sophia, "He wants to see Johnny Hodges in concert." "Who's that?" "No idea." Ava wrote down his name. "Why don't we look him up online? We can see if he's touring anywhere nearby, and then—" "But more than that," the pencil interrupted, "he wants your mother's forgiveness." So that's it for today. The next chapter is chapter 14, Election Night Angst. So if you remember correctly, her mom and dad always had discussions about the election, so I'm sure it's related to that. So there'll be a question posted on Google Classroom, and I will see Mrs. Weiner's morning class for Skype at 10. Bye, guys.